idea. So we're going to get in fighting distance, which is I'm going to go to my basic lunge, and I'm going to have about, like a shaka distance, okay? All right, good? Now, the thing we're going to want you to practice, getting used to creating your fighting style. So I told you I usually like to have a supination for my arm, and I'm somewhat half, and I'm ready to go. You're always going to want this active hand. You guys remember we talked about all the terms. The active hand is going to have a lantern or something in most of these fights. So get used to having this hand ready to do something, okay? What I'm going to want you guys to practice, we don't have enough swords and everything for everybody to do it at the same time, so we'll take turns, okay? What I would like you to do is first practice 1 and 2. So he is going to thrust to my one, to my 1. So he's going to go show, and then go. And that's the watch. You guys remember the watch? This only looks good. This is why you have to drill it to get used to having things vertical or parallel. Very nicely done. Okay? It doesn't look good if you're not practiced. What I often see is people will have their sword like that. That's dangerous. So what you're working on is if he thrusts to my 1, I'm going to have a perfect vertical to the ground. And he, as you can see, is there. Good? He's then going to go back and show and go into my 2. And he's going to pass forward when he does it. So go ahead and pass forward on that. Yep. So it's, yeah. And then I will pass back. You see what the footwork has to match? It's like a dance. If he passes forward, I have to pass back. If he advances, I have to retreat. Okay? So what we're going to put together is the footwork and a 1 and a 2. So he's going to advance, and I'm going to retreat and do a 1. Here we go. He shows, he advances, and I retreat with a 1. He shows, he passes forward, and I pass back, and a 2. And doesn't that look great? Yeah. And it's that simple. So I'm just going to ask you guys to do that 5 times, and then we're going to switch your weapon to somebody else. Okay, so watch again. All you're doing is a 1 and a 2 with some footwork. He's going to show for his thrust, and then he's going to advance. Don't forget to advance. Yeah, show here, and then pass forward for 2. Okay. No, you're going to advance for the 1. Oh. Yep. And then he's going to pass. He's going to recover and then pass back and 2. Okay? And then the person who was the victim then will do the same to him. So. Yep. So, and I'll do it to him so he can have a practice. Okay, and always checking your fighting distance. And then I am going to show, go, I advanced, and then I'm going to show and pass forward and for his 2. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. Malik and pass forward. Lunge. Recover. Pass forward. Pass back. Pass back. Pass back. Advance. Advance. Pass forward. Lunge. Recover. Pass back. Pass back. Advance. Retreat. Advance. Pass forward. Pass back. Pass back. Lunge. Recover. Balestra. That's a hop and a lunge. Good. Can you show us that again?
And nice and loud to Peyton Photographs on stage.
Celia!
Bring some lights.
Bring some lights!
My Lord, what's happening?
Not have a sword unless you had a certain amount of money. You also didn't necessarily have a sword unless you were living on a property and were being trained to use the sword. You typically were using what everybody can use. They can go find in the woods a stick. Which, by the way, you don't see a lot of quarterstaff or staff fighting in general in film because it doesn't get in frame easily. But it is the most fun to do. If we could find the damn thing, I would show you. And it also looks the best on stage. I've even had choreographed fights that I've done before where I stuck material. It is the most fun to do. If we could find the damn thing, I would show you. And it also looks the best on stage. I've even had choreographed fights that I've done before where I stuck material on it and the material flies around as you fight, which they do a lot of in Asian stage combat. People shouldn't touch my stuff. Well, we can't have any stings. Okay. On it and the material flies around as you fight, which they do a lot of in Asian stage combat. People shouldn't touch my stuff. Well, we can't have any stings. Okay. So then what happened was that we thought, because we're not, we just learn things by accident, but we thought for centuries that the bigger your sword was, the sharper it was, the better weapon it was. So the first major weapon that we get into with swordplay, which needs a bath, is quarterstaff. Or not, sorry, quarterstaff. Broadsword. So focus on my quarterstaff being taken. I found it. It's the better weapon it was. So the first major weapon that we get into with swordplay, which needs a bath, is quarterstaff. Or not, sorry, quarterstaff. Broadsword. So focus on my quarterstaff being taken. I found it. So is the broadsword. Now this is a 1.5 hand broadsword. You have 2-handed broadswords. You can have 1-handed broadswords. You hold a broadsword much like a 1.5 hand broadsword. Oh, you found it. Where was it?
It was fun.
So is the broadsword. Now this is a 1.5 hand broadsword. You have 2-handed broadswords. You can have 1-handed broadswords. You hold a broadsword much like a 1.5 hand broadsword. Oh, you found it. Where was it?
It was behind the rack.
That's just a stick.
That's just a stick.
All right. This was a gift. So this is half hand. This is long form. This is short form. Long form's awesome because this looks great on stage. If I'm on guard, I can quickly switch to another on guard, and this looks awesome. You also get to do awesome fun things with these. They look great on stage. They don't necessarily look great on film because they're too long and they don't stay in frame. And last week I told the students that I had a stage combat instructor, my stage combat instructor. In fact, some of you might know this.
Not. Restore the picture! Nay, do not show your sword. What you do, I will show mine as well.
What pretense do you have towards it?
Possession which I will maintain. You may perhaps have 1,000 crowns for the original.
You shall restore the picture.
Loretta, what's the matter?
Or leave your life behind.
Death, you lie. I will do neither. Hello?
Hey! I command you. It's for me, but...
A wondrous fair she is. 1,000 crowns a month. Oh, plague of a price.
You, sir, in buff, that appear a soldier. What began this incident? Tell me right
'Tis
now.
true I did so. You call it insolent for a man to preserve himself. I saw your charming picture and was wounded, why through my soul each point of beauty ran. And wanting 1,000 crowns to procure my remedy, I laid this.
Not too fancy. Not so fancy.
They all ran.
Stick around.
Oh!